Pretty good. So we push it out, and then we have to put it down because it's hot. If we just clean it up, you'll be able to see. You can see the rings on there. And then we have to label what we've done. Remember what we've done.
Yeah.
Write a number on it so we don't lose it. We didn't really want, did we? We're drilling holes.
You drill the holes and tell us how old they are.
That's right. And at the moment, all I've done is drill the hole. But that one is an elm crook, and these are oaks.
So what is significant about that? Well, why have they used elm, I suppose, because it was convenient for that.
Because it was there, I suspect. The thing about this part of the country, I think, is just how short a resource decent sized trees always work. You make best use of whatever you had available. And I think some of these slightly peculiar things that they do are simply on the other side of these.
Yes.
These are at quite an acute angle.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these are trestle sawn. They're not pin sawn. There's a picture on the bio tapestry of a piece of wood across a trestle with a man at the top and a man at the bottom and sawing across it, and you can think of the angle of the sawing of that. So you can see there's saw marks running that way. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can see the saw marks running this way,
yes.
And there's a little triangle there where they've actually turned the timber over. So they've sawn down to there, and then they've sawn back to it. Yeah. And then they've just split it open there. Yeah. Can you see that? Can you see just there? Look, there's a triangle where they've sawn down, and then they've sawn down, and then they've just broken it off. It's always called the snap off. Yeah, where they're just too lazy to saw through that last half inch. They just they snap it off. The big ones here are trestle sawn on all faces, as far as I can see, which is a bit odd. This was a significantly different date. If this is late 15th, and therefore a relatively late example of big trestle sawing, and this is a different date, it wouldn't be trestle sawn. And it is. Things, you know, this has got a chamfer in it here, whereas these are all very plain there. Yeah. But those are chamfered up there. Can you see and there's a little chamfer stop on it? Whereas this one is plain. And yet they all belong because they're all pegged in. The pegs at both ends.
Could they have been
almost impossible to get them back in without taking the roof off.
This is fascinating.
Is it?
I got it after the last 3 minutes. That's amazing.
Right. So,
I mean, I'm still drilling principally, but I thought I'd stop and talk.
Because I've got a strong theory that the window that's in that room, which is a very grand window, for
it
this
is.
sort of building,
Yeah, absolutely.
you actually look at it, it's very eroded on the inner face.
Right.
Now, it hasn't been standing in this building, open to the skies, that's for sure.
No.
But it could have been from a dismantled building, lying flat on the ground, and put in. So, and there's good records from another parish in this sort of area where they actually brought up a chantry chapel, dismantled it to build a church house.
Yeah.
So there's all this going on.
Yeah. Supposedly pit sawing comes in around 1500-ish. And so a lot of later 15th century buildings and early 16th century buildings, you get pit sawing for the big timbers and trestle sawing for the little timbers. All of the timbers in here are trestle sawn, including this and this, effectively. There is no difference. There is no difference between these trestle sawn. Can you see that? You can see the same thing on the underface of this.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
So, and then once you get your iron, you can actually see they're on the underface of that, they're on the underface of that, they're on the underface of this.
So there's a terrific level of consistency.
There is a terrific level of consistency in the manufacturing methods between these two groups. I think on simple manufacturing grounds, there's no difference between, it just happens to be an oak truss and an elm truss would be my first assumption. I mean, there are subtle differences, and this is very slightly chamfered, isn't it? And this is not chamfered. Whereas this is chamfered,
Yes.
and those aren't chamfered.
Yes.
So I mean, there are funny, but I mean, is it saying something about this end of the room? You know, is it a state? You know, there are these funny ways of reading these rooms.
It's an integrated building, even though it's had holes pushed through it later.
Yeah, and although that's an oak purlin and this is an elm purlin,
Yes.
they're lodged through the
Yes.
joint. You wouldn't end this building
No.
like that.
I mean, to make this part of an earlier building, you've got to presuppose there was another building which was taken apart completely in some way and started again.
So I think it's just it's an elm tree being sawn up and being used in this half of the building, and whereas it's oak trees being sawn up and being used in this part of the building. And I don't know that I would argue there's any difference. Also, it's only by actually offering up different versions of the same building that you reach a compromise point. I don't know that that's earlier or later, but there are many similarities.
Well, that's what I felt, but I used to be into vernacular buildings in Devon 20 odd years ago. I've been back here last summer and they had a VAG group meeting here, and you know what they're like, that joint, and they were all arguing about it, and I said, well,